Despite what people often think, there's only one true religion, and all the major religions around the world are pieces of ancient wisdom. The holy books we have are written records meant to both keep and hide the secrets of a deeper truth. This means that different religious texts are connected to each other. To fully understand one sacred book, you need to understand the others as well. Many people struggle to accept this idea, leading to a lack of understanding between religions. Each person tends to hold on tightly to their own book, believing there is value in promoting only that part and ignoring the rest. Bibles and other sacred texts are collections of inspired writings and old stories passed down through time. They come from earlier civilizations and should not be seen as complete messages from a divine being. Instead, the revelation aspect is usually about interpretation. Someone who thinks deeply about sacred topics discovers hidden meanings and is then seen as a religious leader. In ancient times, sacred writings were only for special priests and not for regular people. The priests would explain parts of these writings based on the problems at hand. The crowd would gather at the temple and receive spiritual teachings from these priests, who stood at the entrance and explained the laws. These priests had the knowledge to understand the deeper meanings of the sacred texts. However, after the decline of these ancient teachings, when the holy books became available to everyone, many of the deeper meanings were lost. The Vedas, which are the sacred texts of the ancient Aryan Hindus, are considered to be the oldest religious writings and the source of many sacred books respected around the world today. The religious traditions of ancient Hindus are very old. These traditions suggest that the laws and teachings of the gods were revealed to the early Aryans in the Himalayan mountains almost 1,000,000 years ago. As the Aryan tribes moved south and then west, they created different cultures and groups. They brought their sacred traditions with them. When writing was developed, these traditions were recorded on stone, clay, and papyrus, so they could be remembered better. The Vedas became the source of religious traditions that spread to various nations over time and influenced many sacred writings around the world. Great saints and wise people wrote their own explanations or restated the Vedic teachings in ways that made sense for their time. In China, Lao-Tze and Confucius were important teachers, and their writings became sacred texts. In India, Buddha was a key figure. In Persia, it was Zoroaster. In Egypt, Akhenaton and Hermes played significant roles. In Greece, figures like Orpheus, Pythagoras, and Plato contributed to spiritual thought. In Syria, Moses and later Jesus were important leaders. Old teachings compared spiritual tradition to a flame that burns forever on the altars of the gods. This flame is divided into 7 parts, which are further divided into 7 more, leading to a total of 49 flames or spiritual insights, known as the 49 gates of the law in the Kabbalah of Moses. From the one eternal truth, 7 major world religions emerged, each divided into 7 smaller parts, making up what is called divine wisdom. The Christian Bible is the main sacred text in the Western world and is usually split into 2 parts, sometimes 3, with the Apocrypha, or doubtful books, added between the Old and New Testaments. The Old Testament contains hidden teachings in Israel and is a Kabbalistic text that is hard to understand without commentaries. The New Testament gets its ideas from various mystical and philosophical traditions from Syria, Persia, Egypt, and Alexandria. The authors of the Gospels were knowledgeable about the different religious systems of their time. It's not important to debate who these writers were. What matters is that they understood the secret doctrine and cleverly hid this knowledge within a story about one person's life. Similarly, the Old Testament presents a complex spiritual system disguised as history, drawing from ancient Egyptian teachings and other cultures. Moses learned from the secret schools of Egypt, and the Pentateuch, often attributed to him, is a remnant of these deep teachings. It's unlikely that the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Bible, has stayed the same over time. There is strong evidence that the original writings of Moses were lost long ago. However, the ancient wisdom is still present in the Old Testament, even if it has changed a bit. With the right tools and careful study, you can uncover this wisdom in those texts. A helpful way to understand the Bible is to compare it with other ancient religions and philosophies, seeing them as part of a bigger picture. Each religion has grown from many older beliefs, so it's important to know about these earlier ideas. If one tradition has missing parts or has changed, Those gaps can often be filled with similar ideas from other traditions. If someone puts in the effort, they can gain a complete understanding that helps explain difficult passages and answer confusing questions. It's important to make sure that the information added comes from the same tradition as the religion being studied.